Nearly 12 million people were forced to leave their homes and relatives, and millions of people lost their lives in the violence that ensued during the partition. The partition has had such a huge impact that the conflict between India and Pakistan has continued to this day. India, which was a united country before independence, was divided into two after independence. What was the reason for this partition? Let's watch the video in detail about many things that have not been said before about the partition of India and Pakistan. This video talks about the history of India and Pakistan, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it, then you will be notified of our new videos. After 1880, the British government was trying to establish its rule in India by suppressing the protests against the British government. For this, a new plan was brought by the British civil officer and political expert, Alan Octave. According to that plan, in 1884, Alan Octave formed an organization called the Indian National Union to inform the Indians about the shortcomings of the British government. Through this organization, the British government tried to find out all the shortcomings of the British system, find out everything and try to fix it. This changed the attitude of the Indians towards the British government to a certain extent. After this, the Indian National Union, also known as the Indian National Congress, was formed in 1885 by the efforts of Alan Octavianam and Dadabhai Naoroji. Its first convention was held in Mumbai in the same year. Along with this, its convention was held not only in Chennai but also in Calcutta. After 1990, the Indian National Congress, which had become a major political party in India, was seen by many as a party for Hindus. Due to this, Muslims gradually started to hate the Congress organization. Teachers, lawyers, and so on. Did they read more about the Congress Party and its large membership, and did the Congress care only for the welfare of the Hindus? Muslims were being marginalized, all high posts were given to Brahmins, and Muslims made various accusations against the Congress. This situation was the most important factor influencing Muslims among Muslims. Aligarh Muslim League was formed in 1875 by Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. He also advised Muslim students not to join the Congress. After this, Hindi was declared the official language of India in 1990. At that time, Muslims demanded that Urdu should also be declared the official language of India. But this demand of Muslims was rejected. This made Muslims very angry. After this, in order to protect the interests and rights of Muslims, the Indian Muslim League Party was started on December 30, 1996 in Shahabad, which is now in Bangladesh, by Aga Khan, Nawab Salimullah, Waqan Iqbal, and others. One of the important leaders of this party was Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He strongly opposed Gandhi's agitations and campaigns, saying that they were creating enmity between Hindus and Muslims. This situation arose in 1930 at the All India Muslim League conference held in Allahabad, where a poet named Sir Muhammad Iqbal first raised the demand for a separate country for Muslims, with the aim of protecting the social and political rights of Muslims. After that, he and the Muslim League Party began to work towards achieving the demand for a separate country for Muslims, as their primary objective. Army. In 1940, the Muslim League Party led the way in the Lahore Convention, which called for the partition of a country comprising the Muslim-dominated regions of Punjab, Afghanistan, Kashmir, Sindh, Palestine, and Bengal. The country that could be divided was also named Pakistan. Urdu remained in the art till the end. It was during this time that Britain fought fiercely in the Second World War in 1940. In this war, the British Empire forced Indian soldiers to fight in the war without any hesitation. According to this, about 5 million Indian soldiers fought for Britain in the Second World War. Watch this video on our channel to learn how the Second World War began and ended. You will understand. In 1942, the War Cabinet Group of the Stophot Grips from Britain came to India to ask for help from India for this war and asked the Congress to provide financial assistance for this war. However, the Congress did not like the fact that Indian soldiers were forced to participate in this war. Not only that, at this time, important leaders of the Congress organization, such as Jawaharlal Nehru and Gandhi, were imprisoned for their efforts and left India for India in the second year of the war. Because of this, the British government, through the Cripps War Cabinet, could not get help from the Congress, so they asked Jinnah, who was the leader of the Muslim League, for help. Not only that, if they provided assistance in this war, they would create a separate country for the Muslims, Pakistan. Jinnah gathered votes. After this, Jinnah started providing all the necessary assistance to the British government for the war. In 1945, after the end of World War II, the then British Prime Minister, Clement Attlee, was arrested by the Labour Party. Attlee became the Prime Minister of Britain. At this time, due to the involvement in the war, the British government was in great economic distress. Therefore, the British did not have enough troops and money to administer a colony like India. Many freedom struggles were taking place in India against the British government every day. Countries like America and the Soviet Union started giving support to Britain, saying that India should gain independence. The British government had no other choice but to give India independence. His first task was to transfer power from the British government to India, to create a political system for India, and to hold talks with Indian leaders regarding the development of independence for India. On March 24, 1946, a three-member cabinet committee called the Gamification Machine was sent to India by the British government. After this, on March 18, 1947, Clement Attlee addressed the British Parliament in London. He said that by June 1948, the British government would have decided to grant India independence. Although Winston Churchill, the leader of the then Conservative Party, the opposition party of Britain, had strongly opposed this, the British government did not back down from its decision to grant India independence and was determined to take serious measures for it. At the same time, the British government had promised Muhammad Jinnah to create a separate country called Pakistan, so the British government also made arrangements for it. After that, Attlee negotiated with Lord Louis Mountbatten, who was a high-ranking officer of the British Army during the Second World War, to appoint him as the Governor-General of India to carry out the task of granting India independence. Initially, Lord Mountbatten made some demands to Attlee to accept the responsibility of Viceroy India. It was only after Attlee accepted all of Lord Mountbatten's demands that Mountbatten assumed the office of Viceroy of India on February 5, 1947. After that, in March, Mountbatten, who had come to Delhi, was handed over all the documents regarding India by the then Indian Minister for India, Archibald Wavell. Before leaving India, he had told Mountbatten about the various problems that were being faced in India. At that time, he had told Mountbatten about the Hindu-Muslim problem that was going on in India, and the Muslims were fighting for a separate country. Although he had known about the Hindu-Muslim problem in India even before that, it was only after Archibald Wavell told him about the problems going on in India that he came to know about this problem in full. In this regard, Mountbatten called Jinnah and Gandhi separately for talks. Mountbatten first spoke to Gandhi. It was also during 1946 and 1947 that religious riots between Hindus and Muslims began to increase. In particular, on August 16, 1946, Jinnah organized a protest called Direct Action Day in Calcutta demanding the creation of a separate state. Accordingly, the Muslim people in Calcutta went on strike. Initially, this was a simple strike, but due to the clashes between Hindus and Muslims, it turned into a major riot. More than 400 people lost their lives in this riot. In addition, people who were intoxicated fled their homes. After this riot, Hindu-Muslim riots broke out in many parts of India. Even the police and the army were unable to suppress this riot. In 1948, British Prime Minister Attlee was adamant that India should be given independence, and in order to bring these riots under control, Mountbatten was appointed to create. After this, on July 18, 1947, the Indian Independence Act was passed in the British Parliament, and on August 15, 1947, it was decided that India would be granted independence. It was done. Further, at the end of the Second World War, Japan surrendered to Britain on August 15, 1945, and India gained independence on August 15, 1947. After this, the work of dividing the properties between India and Pakistan was carried out through the Patent Police. The responsibility of dividing the properties was given to the Patent Police Commissioners, Ekam Patel and Sathuri Muhammad Ali. After this, Britain was advocating for the division of the borders between India and Pakistan, Sir Cyril Radcliffe said, but it is not so easy for a big country like India to divide its borders, and this cannot be done by August 15, Radcliffe said in Urdu to the British Raj. But from August 15, Radcliffe was given a 2-day deadline to demarcate the borders. Therefore, without any other formal planning, the borders were demarcated in a hurry. First, the Punjab province was divided and the Murku region was given to Pakistan and the Kulku region to India. After this, Bengal was divided into two and the Mirku region was given to India and the Kulku region to Pakistan. Also, the Jammu and Kashmir regions were given to India. After the borders of the two countries were demarcated in this way, religious riots broke out on a large scale in both countries. Many women were raped. Hindus living in Pakistan left their homes and took refuge in India. Similarly, Muslims living in India were beaten and driven away by Pakistan. During these riots, women and children were the most common victims. It is said that during the partition of India and Pakistan, about 15 million people from both countries became refugees. A train was set up between the two countries to transport refugees. Many people boarded the train to escape the riots. However, some mysterious people on this train killed many people on the four trains. This incident is known as the Bloody Train Incident in history. While these riots were going on a large scale, the British government merged the territories of the 562 Kurunal kings in India with India and Pakistan, but only a few states refused to merge their territories with the two countries, one of which was Kashmir. After this, on August 14th, all arrangements were made for the independence of India at the Indian Constituent Assembly in Delhi. As decided by the British government, India gained independence at 12 midnight on August 15th. India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, took office. Pakistan also gained independence on August 14th, a day before India's independence. Jinnah took office as the country's first Governor-General. The independence of both countries was achieved 2 days later, and on August 17, 1947, the borders of both countries were declared as sovereign states. However, even today, there have been long-standing conflicts between the two countries. After this, Pakistan Prime Minister Jinnah was upset that India had annexed Jammu and Kashmir, which had a 75% Muslim population. He thought that somehow he had captured Jammu and Kashmir. After this, on October 22, 1947, Pakistan's army set out to capture Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir. At that time, Kashmir was under the control of the Maharaja of Kashmir, Maharaja Arakunkar, who was a member of the Arakunkar family. The Indian king said that only if Srinagar and Srinagar were annexed to India, we would send our army to the Arakunkar family. After this, a war broke out between India and Pakistan. In this war, Pakistan's army won and India captured Srinagar. Since the time of independence, Jammu and Kashmir has been ours. Pakistan has been celebrating its own region and has been in the same position until now. Although a ceasefire agreement was signed between India and Pakistan in 1968, despite all that, these two countries have been continuously attacking each other and fighting in Kashmir. We should also be fully aware of the unacceptable problems in Kashmir. If so, we should make a separate video for Kashmir. If you want a video about the Kashmir issue, comment. Okay, that's all for today's video. If you think that this partition was good or it wouldn't have happened, comment your answer. This video is for the partition.